All right, guys. The first fight we have in the who wins category. We are doing Chris Daukaus versus Derrick Lewis. Awesome fight for heavyweights here. And Derrick Lewis just coming off that loss to Cyril Gann, where he landed about 6 strikes in the entire fight. And we've got Chris Daukaus coming off a win against Shamil. I don't want to say his last name because it's too long and I will get it wrong. But first off, Steve, first thoughts on the fight at least.
Yeah, well, I just want to say Chris Daukaus might have like some of the most momentum in the heavyweight division right now. Like you talk about guys like Tom Aspinall, but I feel like we're kind of forgetting about Chris Daukaus. And this is like his real true first test, in my opinion. I didn't know a whole bunch about Shamil to begin with. He's 41 years old. He had been sitting in that ranking for a while. It looks like he doesn't fight too often. But the Olynyk win, the Parker Porter win for Daukaus, they're not like great names. This is like really his first true test. And I'm super excited. Like we've obviously had him on our show before, like super nice guy. And he just quit his job and he's now like full into this, like full time. He's ready to go. He looked very lean in his last fight. Like he dropped about like 20, 30 pounds. He looked really good. But Derrick Lewis, man, that's always a tough name to draw. I don't care who you are.
Especially if he's got motivation now as well. You know he's hungry for the win. And getting a name like Derrick Lewis, if he does get a win, he's just come off a title eliminator. Or for the interim belt, as it were. Right. Silly, it was an interim title shot, but it was. You know, Derrick Lewis's last wins, you know, before that he'd beaten Blades, Olynyk, Latifi, and Ivanov. They are big names. And he's not just beating them, he's knocking them out. You know, the Alexei Olynyk one, where in the second round he just flatlined him, the uppercut to Curtis Blades, and we know what Curtis Blades can do, as he just beat Rosenstruik easily, to be honest.
I mean, that's it right there. This is kind of like a funny fight because when you look at the guys that Daukaus has fought, like they're not strikers per se, you know, like Shamil, Olynyk, like these guys like to go to the ground a lot. But like Lewis is not really like an elite striker necessarily. He's just that one-shot knockout power.
Yeah. Yes, it is going to be. I would actually argue that Daukaus has a lot better striking than Derrick Lewis.
I think so.
I've never seen Derrick Lewis throw a jab. He throws a switch kick, an overhand right, a straight right, and an uppercut. They're like the only moves he knows. Right. But they've got him to where the position is. He's had 2 title shots. So something's happening and something's working.
Oh, man, it's definitely, well, you look at Lewis, how many knockouts he's had in the UFC. He must be up there for most all time, right? Like
I think he is now, yeah.
He might be, yeah. So it's really just a matter of Daukaus, can you stay away from him? How long can you stay away from him? Are you going to put him out? How often does Lewis actually go out? I mean, Gann just did it to him. But it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. You have to go in very smart and calculated. Curtis Blades, great fighter. He got caught.
Yeah, and he did, especially going in for a takedown. So I think if Daukaus has a game plan to beat Derrick Lewis, there is a blueprint which DC showed. You can take him down, hold him down, and choke him. He will quit. He's not there. You know, he's there for money. At the end of the day, he's a prize fighter. He's not there for the belt, as he always says. But if Daukaus thinks he can hold him down, that's another matter. It took all of the strength of Olynyk in the world to hold him down. Yeah. Because I think on one of the Inside the Octagons once, Dan Hardy and John Gooden said literally, he just stands up with a grown man on his back. That's the defense for him. There's no guard retention, get back to your feet, use the cage, will walk, anything like that. It's just stand up. I'm so damn strong.
Literally, yeah, it's like the technicality, the fundamentals for Derrick Lewis, they're not really there. But Chris Daukaus, on the other hand, very patient, very good striker, very good boxer. He's picking his shots really well, and when he lands, he's knocking people out. But still, like when I look at the Olynyk fight, he survived. Like I think Olynyk had shot for like a couple takedowns. He survived that, and then at that point, Olynyk's just a walking body bag. Shamil didn't really do too much in that fight. It looked like Daukaus was pretty much in control the whole time and hit him with some unbelievable shots. So I don't know how much I really hold Daukaus. Like Lewis has been to the top before. Yeah. Is Daukaus ready for that next step? I think he is. I do believe he is.
Yeah, I think as well. I could be wrong here, but I think it's a main event. So will be 5 rounds. So in that sense, I'm actually siding with Daukaus a little bit. I think the hunger that, as you say, when you had him on, You'll show that he is now full-time. He's taking it deadly seriously. He would not have accepted this if he did not think he could beat Derrick Lewis. It's a massive jump from non-ranked or top, the 10, the gateway, to fighting arguably the second best, third best guy in the division comfortably. It's a real test, and he could do Volkov and outpoint him for 3-4 rounds, go to the fifth, and then get sparked by one shot if he gets lazy. That's what Derrick can do. He doesn't need the gas tank for one punch. So I'm actually going Daukaus on this. I think he's going to be a massive underdog.
I would be curious to see what the line is on that. And I think that's a good point too, is at any given point throughout a 5-round or 3-round fight, if you don't put Lewis out, he can put you out even with 1 second left on the clock. It does not matter. So it's like a balance of, you don't want to be too aggressive, because if you go in, you're going to get hit, but you have to keep your distance for such a long time that it's difficult to do that. But with that being said, yeah, I think Daukaus does take this one, taking it more seriously. He's in this full time now. He shed the poundage, so he's going to be lighter on his feet. He's going to be quicker, so he can stay away from Lewis if he needs to. We haven't really seen his ground game just yet, but he's working on it. He's a cop. He's an ex-cop. He must have some tricks in the bag there, right? So I think he's going to get this one done. If he comes in as a plus underdog, I'll be betting on him for sure.
Yeah, I will as well. Awesome. We got 2 guys here for Chris Daukaus.
Love it.
The next fight, which is mind-blowing. This has come about because Aljamain Sterling is not injured, but he's pulling out via injury here. He has claimed on the ESPN show, or it might have been BT Sport now, whatever Ariel Helwani is now doing. He spoke to Ariel and basically said that he can not really go more than 2 rounds at the moment without gassing. And it's due to being, it's Petr Yan's fault. It's not his fault. And he's pulling out and putting all the blame on him, and then just kind of distracting everyone with the fact that he has to pull out with this fight and not defend a belt. Personally, I wouldn't put this for an interim belt. I'd strip him and give this for the real belt, because your first title defense, he's gone, I'm not injured, everyone, but I'm not fighting. And it's like, well, it's not Petr Yan's fault that you haven't got the cardio right now. Like, it's your fault. So Petr Yan versus Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen steps in. It's a seriously good fight here, because Cory obviously just lost a very questionable decision to TJ. I don't think it's a robbery by any means, but I did think Cory won 3-2 quite comfortably. Like, I thought I couldn't find 3 rounds TJ won. I found 2. And that was rewatching the fight twice. On first instinct, I think a lot of people just went, oh, Cory's won, no problem. Go to the bathroom, come back, and why has TJ got his hand raised speaking to Bisping? It's a crazy fight to me. It's a dangerous fight. I think this is a harder fight for Petr Yan. I think Cory is a lot better than Aldo, even though Aldo did choke him out in a minute or so in their fight. But I do think this is a much harder fight for Petr Yan to train for, as the striking and the cardio of Cory is phenomenal.
Yeah, this one caught me off guard a little bit. At first, I was like, well, how did Sandhagen get this? But then I realized TJ Dillashaw had hurt his knee in that fight, so he's out for injury. So the next guy up is Cory Sandhagen, which I've always been a big supporter of. There was a point in time where if you had given me the choice of who's the best in this division, I thought it was Cory Sandhagen. And that was even after Aljamain choked him out in that first, 1 minute or 2 minutes into the fight. I still thought Cory Sandhagen was a better fighter, especially after we saw Aljamain go against Petr Yan. Yeah. And that performance just was not good in my eyes.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to get into here, because I thought, Aljo kind of won in that scenario, obviously became the belt holder when he defeated Petr Yan because of the illegal knee. And that was a great business move on his end. And this would have been perfect for him to go into the rematch, get paid a ton of money. The fact that he's now getting it stripped because of the injury is not ideal for him. If Petr Yan wins it back, do they have to run it back with Aljamain? Like, is he at this point guaranteed that title shot when he comes back?
Well, this is only for an interim now,
right?
So Aljamain is still the title, so it has to unify no matter what. So Aljo's fine, the winner of this, no matter what. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, either way, this is a phenomenal matchup. Sandhagen, I thought he had won that fight against TJ as well, 3-2. just the forward pressure, the wrestling that TJ brought. He had landed a couple of big shots, but I thought Cory was just the busier guy throughout the whole night. Cory lost that fight, though. He very well could have won that fight a lot more straightforward if he had just been a little bit more busy in the later rounds, in my opinion. I think he left a lot out there. I don't think he gave it his all to really make the judges giving them an easy decision there. So the fact that it was back and forth, some people had it one way or this way, I think he left a lot out there. But I think in this matchup in particular, man, this is a tricky one, because I wasn't huge on Petr Yan because he was coming into he had beaten Jose Aldo, which I wasn't huge into that win. And then before that, he had beaten Uriah Faber. So I was like, okay, he hasn't really beaten anyone big. But after the Aljamain fight, I'm kind of all in on Petr Yan now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was. I also had another buddy that didn't rate Petr Yan at all, and I was thinking you're out of your mind. But he actually gave a good reason. He beat Jimmy Rivera, which a few people have. John Dodson isn't a mind beater. Nathaniel Wood was beating him up until he got caught with that one shot. Knocking out Uriah Faber. It took 3 rounds to do it. And this was a guy that had been retired for multiple years and just come back, and he's older. And Jose looked a bit drained at that point. He hadn't got the weight cut perfectly down or anything like that, and it still took 5 rounds to do it. But I think what Petr does is he's not necessarily a knockout artist or anything. He has the gas tank. He doesn't stop. He is the Terminator, isn't he? He walks you down. He has such technical striking, and he doesn't get hit that much, to be honest. The opening round with Aldo was storming him, absolutely blitzed him. And I was like, how the hell is he going to keep up this pace? And by halfway through the second round, Aldo was completely gassed. Right. And Petr Yan was just just clicked his back, getting warmed up. He was like, you've got 3.5 rounds left to go, son. This is going to be a long night for you. And you just saw it just turn from a minute, 2 minutes into the second. And that's what Petr does. That's what he does. He breaks you. He makes you give everything. Yeah.
And I think going, I don't know if that was his game plan originally with Aljamain to just kind of wait it out. I think it was just more of a in the moment, like he was seeing what Aljamain was doing, and he was like, that he couldn't keep his pace. I knew that he couldn't keep his pace. Of course, Petr Yan knew that he wasn't going to keep his pace. So that's a smart fight IQ to just be in the moment, understand that, just wait a little bit. He'll tire down. Aljamain ended up going 0 for 17 on his takedowns, but meanwhile Petr Yan was 7 for 7 on his. So that's kind of a whole nother wrinkle into this. Is yes, Petr Yan, great boxer. His wrestling skills are much better than I thought they were.
Yeah. Not only that as well, I think in this time there will be no DQ. He's learned the rules. It was a big mistake, but again,
I know
it's the Anthony Smith, John Jones moment.
Right.
How much credit Anthony Smith got for that at the time was rightfully so. He could have taken that belt of John Jones and done an Aljamain Sterling. Yep. And Aljo milked that, and he lost so many fans for this. But I think Cory has a lot more weapons than Aljo, striking wise, cardio wise. He's longer. He uses a lot more spinning stuff. Obviously, it didn't work, and I wanted him to stop doing it in the Dillashaw fight. But I don't think he's going to catch Petr with anything spinny or fancy. He's got to use technicality here and his movement, because he's long and he can keep him at bay. The size difference is much bigger. And I don't think he's going to be, if he goes 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 with takedowns, he's not going to attempt another 11 like Aljo did. He's going to go, okay, I need to try something different now. I think he's smarter. And I think he's got a better corner team behind him, because Aljo dumped Matt Serra out of his corner team for that fight, which was bizarre. Personally, I can't bet against Petr Yan just because that's what he does. He will break him. And no one ever thought Anderson Silva will lose until he lost. No one will ever think someone will break until they. And I can't see Cory Sandhagen breaking. He threw everything at TJ, and TJ threw everything at him. And there's not a mark on Cory's face after that fight. And TJ looked busted up. I think Petr's going to outland him comfortably in the later rounds. And I think that's where he gets it done. I can see it by a decision. And I think it's going to be a 3-2 fight. I think the early rounds are going to be all Cory. He's going to want to take a lead. And I think Petr's going to storm him down, march him down, and he could get a finish. It'll be a late finish as per normal. But I think it'll be decision, and it'll be for Petr.
Yeah, man, this is a hard one for me because I was a Cory guy through and through, but the TJ Dillashaw fight just really got to me. It really did. It bothered me that he didn't win that fight more so. You know, we had a 48-47 both ways. It ended up going 48-47 Dillashaw, but I feel like that could have been easily 49-46 in his favor if he just given a little bit more. But maybe that's kind of the name of the game. Maybe if Petr Yan's able to wait it out till it gets into the later rounds again, that's where he's going to win this. But I always do hold that Cory Sandhagen, 5'11", 70-inch reach. He's always going to have a size advantage against anyone that he fights. It just really comes down to what Petr Yan's game plan is going to be. Man, if we're going to make picks, though, we're going to make picks. I am going to go with Petr Yan. I did take Aljamain in that fight originally with Petr Yan. It was even money, and I ate that one pretty bad. So I think I can't bet against Petr Yan again. So I'll go with Petr Yan in this one. I don't think he gets the finish. I think Cory's tough. I think this is a very back and forth, very close fight. I'll go Petr Yan by decision.
Oh, I like it. Both Guy and Petr Yan by decision.
That's a good fight. That is a hell of a fight. I expect the odds to come in about even as well.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would be much. I think Petr might be a slight favorite just based on what he did to Aldo, but yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Perfect. Okay. We have just fun fight after fun fight to talk about here because Derrick Brunson has got a semi-wish. Jared Cannonier has got his wish. Jared Cannonier said, I will only fight again if it's for a title eliminator #1 spot. Derrick Brunson, being on the 5-fight win streak he is, just choking out Darren Till, Darry Chubby Man Till, on the floor. It's a #1 contender spot. Derrick, if he wins this, Blonde Brunson will get the title shot against Israel Adesanya, and Cannonier, if he wins, will get his, which, or maybe not Adesanya, sorry, whoever wins between him and Bobby Knuckles. So hopefully,
already calling your shot.
Well, I just forgot. Yeah, I actually want Bobby to win that one. So, but the reason before anyone says what about Vettori and Costa, they are not getting a title shot because they have both just instantly lost to Adesanya and they've not fought since. So that's why that even if they fought each other, you can't just have one fight and come back into the title shot. It took Robert Whittaker 3 fights and starching everyone. Yeah. So other than Darren, but it's a wicked fight, Brunson versus Cannonier. It's a proper 2 informed guys. What Cannonier did to Gastelum was a new way of beating Gastelum. It was breaking Gastelum again. It was tore his leg apart with those leg kicks, and he landed a great right hook, sat him down, and the recovery rate of Gastelum in that fight was phenomenal. He just bounced right up, like, you know, he's got springs in his ankles, and he didn't sit down for long. He was proper game for that fight. So I think Jared Cannonier beat one of the best Gastelums we've seen in a while, especially coming off that Ian Heinisch win where he out-wrestled Ian Heinisch, which was so damn impressive. And obviously Brunson, you know, he beat Ian Heinisch as well by decision, which is, Ian Heinisch is really good. At the time he fought him as well, Ian Heinisch was 13 wins and 1 loss. So Ian Heinisch was, again, the favorite going into that fight. Brunson has been the underdog in the last 4 or 5 fights of his. You know, he went against Shabazian as an underdog. And I remember we doing that show together and I picked Shabazian. You were the only one that picked Derrick Brunson. Yeah. And Brunson won, and you were like, why are you all sleeping on Brunson? And it's true. I picked Kevin Holland and he beat Kevin Holland. I picked Darren Till. Guess what happened there? He beat Darren Till. So in this fight, I'm picking Jared Cannonier.
Oh my God.
I'm still going against him.
When will you learn? When will you learn, Lewis?
So we know where you're going with this.
This is a tough one. Jared Cannonier. I love Jared Cannonier. What he did against Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum's always game, always brings his A game. It's very tough to put him out. He nearly did that. And even in that Whittaker fight too, even though Whittaker controlled, you know, probably 80% of that fight, in that 3rd round, we started to see Jared Cannonier kind of storm back a little bit. So, and that's against, you know, potentially the best in the world in Robert Whittaker. So that's huge for Jared Cannonier going up against elite level competition, really holding his own. I know he did get controlled a little bit, but he can show that he is an elite fighter. And especially just this guy with his power coming down from heavyweight all the way down to 185.
Yeah.
At 5'11", like 77-inch reach, like this guy is compact. He is shredded. He can put you out. He's a great striker. Very strong, very hard to get a hold of and taken down. So that's why I think it's kind of interesting here. because I feel like, Brunson usually has that giant shoulder frame. If he gets on top of you, he lays heavy. It's really hard to get him off. We saw that with Darren Till. We saw that with Shabazian. It's very hard to get Derrick Brunson off of you. And now that he's using his ground and pound, it's actually absolutely vicious, very difficult. So it makes for an interesting matchup because I think Cannonier has the strength to kind of hold him off. And he also has that one-shot power where we've seen Brunson get wobbled a bunch of times.
Even in that third round against Darren Till, yeah.
He nearly had him on the ropes there. And that's not an uncommon thing against Derrick Brunson. Israel Adesanya did it. Who else? Kevin Holland, even when he only landed, 15, 20 strikes in that fight.
When he did.
So that's what makes this very intriguing to me. And as far as I have picked Derrick Brunson, and I'd really like to see him get a rematch because this dude has just been on an absolute, 5-fight win streak.
He deserves a rematch.
Absolutely insane.
He does deserve it. Yeah,
he does. And that's the problem here is that obviously Robert Whittaker deserves his rematch. Derrick Brunson, he deserves his. Cannonier's kind of coming up in this one. I think the loss to Whittaker sets him back a bit. But it would be nice to see Brunson get the rematch. Obviously, the timing is not great. This is a really tough one for me. I do think that Brunson's going to get stopped here, and I hate to see it. I just think Cannonier, with his power and with his strength to be able to hold off the Brunson takedowns, I think he's going to be able to land and take Brunson out. I think it's going to be Cannonier, probably a TKO victory.
That's the way I think of it. If you can stop Brunson's takedowns, most people have better striking than him. He's got a very good overhand right, but he is the McGregor description of Chad Mendes. He's a stocky wrestler with an overhand right. And at the time, that's what most of them are, unfortunately. That's what Ian Heinisch is as well. And it gets you so far. But against the top elite, that's where Brunson has failed. All his losses are to the very, very best. Other than that, he is the best. And I can see Derrick Brunson only one path to victory here, and that is to take him down, hold him down. He's a black belt on the ground, as we saw against Till. That rear naked was so quick. It was in for not even half a second, it seemed. And Darren was like, I'm out. Like, it got him. But I can't see how he's going to hold Cannonier down. Cannonier is a monster. And I know Kevin Holland said he had good wrestling going into that, which clearly, he might actually have good wrestling. Brunson's wrestling is phenomenal. It is very underrated just because he's kind of unorthodox, kind of sloppy in how he does everything. It looks effortless, so it almost seems unimpressive. And Till, make of it what you were, he apparently had a part torn ACL in that fight, and that's why he was getting taken down. And I'm like, I hated that as an excuse because if he lost, I only lost because I had a torn ACL. If I won, I beat him and I had a torn ACL. That's how much better I am than the others. So it was always like, a Joker card he's got in his pocket, and I don't like that. So I think Brunson needs full credit. He needs, no matter what happens with Izzy and Bobby, I hope he gets a rematch with Israel because that's what he really wants. I know he wants the belt, but he wants to prove that he could beat Israel Adesanya as well. And we know the blueprint's there because Yan did it. Yan did what Brunson can do.
I agree. And Brunson, so his last loss was to Israel Adesanya. That fight ended pretty early in round one, if I remember correctly. So we didn't really I don't think we got to see the real true potential that Brunson could bring to that fight. And since then, that's when he's been on this 5-fight win streak, dominating some of the top talents in the division. So, like you said, we saw it with Jan Blachowicz. The blueprint is there. It's just, Izzy is a different monster at 185. So I don't know if he necessarily has the strength and the size to do that, to do what Jan did.
Rounds. Yeah.
For 5 rounds too, and still survive the onslaught that Izzy's going to bring to you, dancing around you, throwing all those combinations, the counters. I don't think he would do well in that. But in this fight in particular, I think Cannonier with the strength, being able to hold Brunson's takedowns off. And you always see Brunson, he loves to rush forward, head held high, head held forward. He puts it out there to get hit sometimes.
Yeah, which is exactly what Till got him with. Till did a beautiful leg kick, left low kick. Brunson was like, don't like that. I need to take him down. Went for the takedown. Till perfect precision left straight. I mean, it's the only punch Till throws, it seems, but he did it. And Brunson looked wobbled for half a second there before he then got a takedown. But I'm going to back Cannonier on this. I know I never learned my lesson with Brunson. I will in the future, but I really, really am impressed with Cannonier. And head and heart, I really want Brunson to win because I think he deserves it more than Cannonier. But I think Cannonier is a better martial artist, and I think he will get it done.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I think Cannonier is going to take this one. And it just really is. It's just unfortunate for Brunson. The timing is just not there. Whitaker's getting the rematch without a doubt. Like, Brunson deserves it, but Whitaker deserves it even more, which is insane to say because Brunson's just been on a tear. Yeah. But sadly, yeah, if he loses this one, then he's probably out.
At 38 years old as well. Yeah.
I would think so. So it's tough. But hey, the haters have been there before. He's the Jan Blachowicz of this division. He just keeps doing it. He keeps winning. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Love him. Awesome. Right. And okay. To get onto this fight, man. This fight is crazy. To me, this is a sleeper. I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to Jose Aldo versus Rob Font. This is a sleeper fight to me because Jose's the man. Now, I know I've been watching UFC and MMA in general a lot longer. I don't know if you watched Jose in the WEC days properly, but you've probably seen them now, the fights. But back live, if you are post-McGregor or post-McGregor, you don't appreciate Jose Aldo like the rest of the hardcore older fans do. He's kind of like the OG. Jose is the GOAT for me of featherweight. He really is. I know what Holloway did to him, and I know what Volkanovski's doing. He's the GOAT. He was undefeated for 10 years at that weight class. He's the reason that weight class is in the UFC. And since moving down again, he got the crappy decision loss against Marlon Moraes, which everybody knows he won. It's absolutely ridiculous. He then fought Petr for a title. Was it title or was it? No, it was the fight before the title. It was the interim. That was it. Yeah. I knew it was for some gold. And he lost in round 5. But he went to the round 5 with him. And I know he had a bad weight cut for it.
Yeah.
Since then, he fought Marlon Vera, who we know he's not ranked like an elite fighter, but he is an elite fighter. Marlon Vera is phenomenal. And, he shut down Sean O'Malley within a minute, really, with that low kick. And, say what you will about Sean, he is an elite fighter as well, fighting tomato cans right now. He has got elite striking at least. And Marlon shut him down. Marlon deserved to fight Jose for that. And Jose beat him convincingly. It was just one step too far for Marlon, and it showed how good Jose still is. He's still young. He's in his I think he's 34.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's crazy how young he is still. And what he did to Pedro Munoz, he's the same age as Pedro Munoz. Like, what? He's been around literally forever. And he obliterated Pedro Munoz. Obliterated him. It does not sit well with me that he's fighting Rob Font because I think he deserves more. And I know Rob Font's been on a tear since. But Rob Font's wins lately, he's got 2 good wins on his record for me, which is Cody and Marlon.
Great.
Who's the third?
Ricky Simon.
I don't rate Ricky Simon after he got starched by Uriah Faber.
Okay, fair.
He has to win a few more before I start judging Ricky Simon as that top caliber yet. So, but the way he beat Ricky Simon was very impressive. I'll give you that. But again, it's Ricky Simon. But Cody for me in that fight didn't seem himself. He didn't have an answer to the puzzle of Rob Font. Rob just was more technical and kept it at bay the whole 5 rounds. It was just a beatdown, really. Was it 3 rounds? However long it was a beatdown.
I think it was a 5.
Was it 5? Yeah, it seemed like a long fight. But what do you reckon about what Jose could actually do here to Rob? What Cody, for instance, can't? What tools does he have, maybe?
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me, and I think, in my opinion, it seems like where Jose Aldo is right now, he's kind of a gatekeeper of the highest caliber. That's kind of where I see him now at the 135 division. When you talk, the Petr Yan fight, he was outclassed in that fight. Petr Yan got the finish late in round 5. If I were to pick him against, Cory Sandhagen at this point, or maybe even like TJ Dillashaw, I don't think he really holds true to those elite level guys in like the top 3, top 4. So I think he really, at this point in his career, he's an advanced gatekeeper because Pedro Munoz, we know he's an amazing fighter. put him in his place. Marlon Vera, coming off the Sean O'Malley fight, great fighter, he got put in his place. So he obviously holds some sort of value in this. He's still like a top 6 kind of guy in this division. I firmly believe that. And for 34 years old, but he has all the mileage in the world. Like, he's still going. He still looks very good. He can control you on the ground. He did that, I think, 5 minutes of control against Marlon Vera. His striking still looks good. He does move a little bit more rigid. Not that he doesn't have the speed, because his striking still looks very good, but I think where Rob Font has the advantage here is just being the younger, fresher guy, and he will be able to kind of move in and out a little bit better and kind of keep his distance. And I think that's going to really be the key here for Rob Font, is don't get in a phone booth with Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
And even if it gets close, if he initiates clinches, Jose Aldo's a strong guy. I don't think that you necessarily want to get close to him at all. I think what you want to do is keep your distance, keep the jab going, because that's what he was doing against Cody, and it looked phenomenal, and it was working. If you can establish that early on, this is a 5-round fight, that's how you're going to win. You're going to wear him down into those later rounds, similar to what we saw with Petr Yan. If I'm Rob Font, that's what I'm doing.
I think that's spot on. If he can establish that jab, which is very hard to do, because Jose, he's showed he's so fast still. You think 34 years old, and he's like, he's probably lost a step. He has not lost a step. Yeah. He was landing those leg kicks against Pedro. He looked like his old self. He was firing, 1, 2, and then he'd just go 1, 2, 3, 4 and sit Pedro down. And, Rob Font in his fight, he didn't really get gassed. He looked great the whole 5. And even Cody didn't really touch him. Cody landed a couple of good body kicks, a couple of low kicks, but again, all checked. Also, he saw them all coming. There's just stuff he just block and move. His movement was sublime in that fight. His pace was great. I can see an upset here. I think Jose is going to come into this a favorite based on reputation and what he's just done to Pedro. I think Pedro is better than Cody. I mean, it showed in their fight. They had a gunfight and Pedro came out on top in that as well. So I'm going to go for an upset here. If it is an upset, that is. But I think a lot of people are betting Jose here. I find it very hard to bet against Jose Aldo as a massive fate. He's one of my favorites, all-time favorites. But I'm going for Rob Font. I think you're right. The younger, fresher fighter here. He's got the size as well, I believe. He's longer.
Yep, he is.
I think he's on a win streak. He's got the feeling. And I think Jose fights similar to Cody when he fires. He stands static and and it's like, I'm faster than you, so I'm holding my ground and I will outland you. And if he doesn't, he gets hit and he gets dropped. I think Rob can just outpoint him here. I don't think he's going to finish him, but I do think he can outpoint him. And I do think Rob can get a title shot off of the win with Jose Aldo.
Yeah, no, that's another thing too. I mean, I feel like people, TJ Dillashaw's back, Sandhagen's in there against Petr Yan, Aljamain's lingering, but Rob Font is just around the corner. Like, he's getting ready for his title shot as well. I imagine if he wins this, maybe they would pair him with TJ Dillashaw in kind of an eliminator there. But yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. I think for Font, it's pretty straightforward. You just don't want to get caught in a phone booth because, like you said, Aldo, when he's striking, those leg kicks, his punches, like, he is lightning quick. I don't think he wins those exchanges. He needs to just, jab, keep away. I don't know if he really wants to even go to the ground at all. That's the one thing with Rob Font. Like, he is capable on the ground, but he gets taken down pretty easily. Marlon Moraes took him down very easily, held him down for probably a few minutes. I think Cody had landed a couple of those takedowns later on in that fight. That's just one thing. He goes down pretty easily. So if he can just kind of stay away from Aldo, not that Aldo really initiates the takedowns a lot. But yeah, I think the game plan for Font, definitely just stay away.
Yeah, I agree. Both going Rob Font here. I think not many people will, but I hope people do.
Oh, New England Cartel. So that's straight out of my hometown. Rob Font, Calvin Kattar, Tyson Chartier. Those are the boys. So we're rooting for Rob Font here. I think decision's a good call though.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, we got decision for Rob Font.
Yep.
And the final fight, I think we'll probably talk about now. Got announced today, which, if you're watching this a few days from now, when it is actually uploaded, is the 30th of September. We have on short notice, which is going to be a 4-week, but he's just fought. Dan Hooker is now replacing Rafael dos Anjos and fighting Islam Makhachev, which is the no fight in the division. Nobody wants this man. And I hold him at such high regard because I'll give you a little backstory. On my channel for the past, you know what I'm like with Khabib. I always rooted against Khabib. I got a lot of hate for it for years because I always wanted someone to solve the Khabib puzzle, and nobody could. So when he fought Conor, I bet Conor. When he fought Ally Quinter, I bet Ally Quinter. When he fought Poirier, I bet Poirier. When he fought, everybody, Gaethje, I bet Gaethje. I was like, someone's going to solve it. Nobody could, and I didn't appreciate him to what everyone else did, because I just wanted him beaten. So I want to prove you can't go undefeated in MMA. And he did. So now his protege's come along, who's not as good as him. He's not. But Islam has got better striking than him. He's got better judo than him and Sambo, in my opinion. But when it comes to the ground and control, Khabib's always number one. But Islam can be better. And I hold Islam at such high regard. I'm so excited by every fight that he ever does. I love him to bits. I'm really worried for Dan Hooker in this. And I know Dan Hooker has the size. I know he just beat Nasrat very well. He's already in training camp, so I'm not worried about him coming out of shape or not trained or not prepared, anything that. The short notice is kind of irrelevant at this point. It's more just wear and tear from the previous fight, which he didn't seem to have much. So I don't think that's going to be a major concern for him. He wouldn't have taken the fight if it had been. I don't want it to be where Bisping, kind of fought Kelvin in China on 2 weeks after getting choked out by GSP. So he was already worn out, then got smacked in the face and just dropped. He was out of it. I don't think it's going to be like that for Dan. I think he's going to be prepped for it. I think he'll be healthy. But I'm seriously worried because I think Islam could just ragdoll him. I don't think Dan's got the wrestling credentials to even compete with someone like Islam Makhachev. Striking wise, Dan is far superior. He's the rangiest guy in that division. He's got incredible durability, hence the Poirier fight. I know it didn't show in the Chandler fight, but it showed in the Poirier fight. And Islam is tough as nails. He's been knocked out in the UFC. He has one fight he's ever lost. Him and Khabib's record combined is like 49-0, or 49-1 rather. It's pretty obscene. I'm worried for Hooker, but he can do well.
Yes. So first off, hats off to Dan Hooker. Someone had to do it, and I was tired of waiting around. RDA, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. I don't know where RDA is. Is he hurt? Is he not? I don't care at this point. But Dan Hooker steps in because someone has to do it. And it is a hell of a dangerous fight. What an absurd thing for Dan Hooker to go. Michael Chandler lost, takes on Nasrat, who was unranked, I believe.
Yep.
I believe he was an unranked fighter.
And he's
at that
a very
time.
dangerous fighter still.
Yes, very dangerous. He's a super up and coming guy. People love Nasrat. The odds on that one came in pretty close to even, which I was surprised to see. But we clearly saw afterwards why Dan Hooker was significantly better and deserved more credit in that fight. So Dan Hooker has been all over the place. He's fought some of the best in the world. The Dustin Poirier fight, which, I mean, that was an absolute war. They went back and forth. But to go to war with someone like Dustin Poirier, 5 rounds like that is insane. I love that fight. The Michael Chandler one, I think you can kind of give that one to COVID protocols, him traveling over here. It's just been a complete nightmare for all the people overseas in like Australia and New Zealand. It's just been insane over there. So this is going to be good because he's here. That was kind of a warm-up fight with Nasrat. He's going to be very prepared for this fight. And the only thing really saving him here is, his size and his strength. Is that going to be enough to hold off the takedowns? I don't know. I haven't really seen anyone so effortlessly put people on their backs as Islam does. It is a thing of it just blows my mind. Mm-hmm. It's magnificent, and it's very scary because he just does it with such ease. Thiago Moises, not a super highly ranked opponent. Drew Dober, it's kind of the same thing. He's a very good fighter, but he's not of the elite level that I think Dan Hooker really is at this point. So this is going to be a very good test. If he goes out there and ragdolls him, like you say, he ragdolls Dan Hooker, we're in for a world of trouble. Everyone's screwed. But I'm really holding on to the fact that Dan Hooker will be able to at least hold this to a close fight because his ground game did look good. He did take him down, took down Nasrat like 3 times in that fight. Yeah. The grappling looked good. The wrestling looked good. So it will be interesting to see if he's able to hold him off for a little bit and at least maybe land some of those big shots that Islam hasn't really faced since the time he got knocked out.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, he's going finally against someone that has, I would say Dan Hooker is an elite level striker, and he is good on the ground.
Yeah.
He's known as the hangman for a reason. He guillotines the hell out of people. He strangles you. So, but that's not what Islam does. Islam's not a slam artist. He's not a double leg guy. He's a tripper. He will get you against the cage and snap you to the ground. He will put his body so close to yours, you can't. You just smell Islam all day, and that's, you know, when he fought Moises, as you say, Moises isn't elite, but he was on a win streak. He is elite. Moises will be up there. He's only 24, 25 years old. He's young.
Yeah.
And he is a black belt that kills black belts on the ground. He's that level jiu-jitsu. And Islam just went, what's jiu-jitsu? And just knife through butter, just straight through him. You know, what he did to Judoba with the arm triangle. Oh, it's just everything about that fight was just, that is Khabib mauling style. And it is scary. But as you said, if Dan can keep him at bay for long enough and frustrate him, he can catch him for sure. But if it even touches the mat, there is not a chance Dan Hooker's jiu-jitsu is better than Moises's, for a start.
Right.
There's not a chance he is surviving on the ground, because I don't believe anyone is surviving on the ground with him in this division. Nobody has his ground game. Nobody, except Khabib. And he's trained by Khabib. So it's, as you say, seriously scary for him. But all the balls of Dan Hooker to take this fight, I almost want him to get something out of it. But I want Islam to win because I want Islam to be champion. So it's a real tough bet for me on who I want to win, but who I think is going to win. I think Islam. I think it'll be a silly favorite odds. I don't think you're going to make any money if you bet Islam and he wins.
Oh, yeah. No, I think at this point, and I think Aaron kind of said it, but we're never going to see Islam as an underdog again. Unless, you know, he gets his lights put out by Dan Hooker here. But until someone does something to this man, he's on a warpath. He's coming in as like a minus 300 favorite pretty much every time. Yeah. And I absolutely want to see Dan Hooker win this fight. Absolutely. That's who I want to see win this. And I don't have really anything against Islam. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't talk a whole bunch of trash. Do we really want to go back to the old days of where, you know, Khabib held down this division and basically bottlenecked it and just killed everyone that went into him? I don't want to see that again for the next 5 years, because Islam's a young guy and we're like trending in that direction, especially with his style of the wrestling and the grappling. And now he has a more advanced striking than Khabib did. We're trending into that direction. So I would absolutely love for Dan Hooker to just hold him off for a little bit, land some of those big shots and really take him out. I'll take Dan Hooker plus money with the TKO prop bet, which will probably be like a plus 400, plus 500 bet. I'll take that all day.
Wow. You got some balls like Dan Hooker, man, to do that. That's crazy. I don't see it personally, but if you can hurt Islam and you still lose, I think that's a win at this point in your career. I rate Islam that highly, you know. That's what everyone remembers Michael Johnson, not for his career, but for hurting Khabib, to make him look human. And that was it, you know. Everyone thought Conor will make him look human, and he got sat down by Khabib with an overhand right. So to me, this is Islam's to lose. And also, I think this is a blessing in disguise for Islam, because he's been calling for that top dog for so long and no one wants a piece of him. RDA dodged him for so long, and RDA can't dodge him any longer. Otherwise, he's going to lose his rank spot. So he accepts the fight. This is a better fight for Islam. This is a better name on his record at this point, because I think RDA has zero chance against Islam. He does nothing better. He's a lot older. He's just out of it completely. And I think he would beat the shit out of, to be frank, like absolutely annihilate RDA at this point. I think Dan Hooker's a lot harder test. He's coming off a win. Everyone loves Dan Hooker, so he's a fan favorite. It will get more eyes on Islam. I think it's a win-win for everybody in this fight.
I agree with all that. And I also want to just say too, like, if we're looking at, you know, who is going to fight Islam, who's going to take Islam down, like, it needs to be a guy with the strength, with the size to be able to hold him off. And when you kind of look at the lineup right now, I love Dustin Poirier. Absolutely love Dustin Poirier. I'm sure he could give him some trouble just because of his experience, and he can do everything. But Islam is just so overpowering. It's going to be really hard for some of these guys in this division to just straight up hold him off. As you say, he gets so close to you, you don't really have a choice but to go down. And then when he gets you down with all that lankiness and that size, he can control you and he can get the submission. So it's very difficult for Justin Gaethje, who's more of a boxer, or Michael Chandler. He's a wrestler, but he's so small. I just don't see it with the size and the strength that Islam's going to bring to this.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you're going to pick the underdog here in Dan Hooker. I'd like to know how many people that see this, write in the comments that how many people actually do pick Dan Hooker, because it'll be a surprise to me. I think a high 9 out of 10 people will pick Islam for this fight. I am part of that crew. You, sir, have balls of steel to do that, but I'm going Islam by ragdoll effect. And I do think he's going to finish him. I do.
That's tough. I don't know, man.
Submission.
Yeah. No, if you look at like the Dustin Poirier fight, like I don't know where Dan Hooker was like at the end of the round 4 or 5. Like he had almost nothing left to give. If Islam has the cardio, can go those rounds, that's where he's going to finish people too. Like he'll choke you out in round 4 or 5, no problem. But also Dan Hooker, it's more of a value pick than anything. If he comes in as a plus 300 underdog, and even again with that prop bet, if I can get like a TKO or a knockout or finish in general, like plus 500, I think that has a lot of value to it.
No, I like that as well. I think a lot of people, especially people that do bet on these cards, will probably take that same aspect out of it as well. So I like the bet for Dan. I don't have the balls to do it.
Oh man, we're in for a world of trouble. I'm telling you, someone's got to put him out.
Yeah, man. But hopefully not soon, because I like him a lot. Perfect. All right. Now these videos will not be put. This next one will not be put in as a clip, but just a shout out to the weird fight of Greg Hardy and Alexei Oleinik. I don't know what the fuck is happening with these sort of fights, but he's going to get choked out by the big strangler. So, the constrictor is going to rip him apart, in my opinion.
The fact that Oleinik is even still in the UFC at this point, he's been getting put out left and right at this point, and I'm a fan. I love Alexei Oleinik. Like, what is he, like 43 years old? He has like 70 pro fights on record, and he keeps going out there.
67 submissions or something silly, isn't it? Yeah.
Unbelievable. And he's going out there like pretty quick turnarounds. Like he is an active fighter in this division. I think that's why they keep him around, is because he's active. The heavyweight division's a little thin right now, so he makes for an interesting fight all the time because he can choke you out. You saw with Derrick Lewis, he had a weird choke on him where I think he had most of his head.
It's like a scarf hold from judo, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Greg Hardy's not. I don't think he's trained for that. It takes a lot of years in training to understand someone of that caliber when it comes to grappling. So yeah, he's getting choked out.
I hope so. I don't like that fella.
No one does. No one likes him.
No, but I think I've said it to you before, because I'm from this overseas. It's just I don't even know who he was. Everyone's like, "Oh, right. Greg Hardy's in the." I'm like, "Who's that?" Like, no one from Europe knows who the hell he is. Nobody.
Football, American football, obviously he was really big, but it was more the scandal, domestic abuse, violence. He's a woman beater. We can put it right out there. So people did not like him. That made the news. And then when he transitioned to MMA, people were like, classic Greg Hardy. Of course, he'll just go beat up other people.
Yeah. Yeah, he's scum.
Not a good guy. That is exactly what it is.
Perfect. Right. Well, it's awesome having you back on here, dude. I really appreciate it. I know you got to go, but we'll do this again. This is going to be an MMA show, either 17 or 18 going on, but we'll clip it all up. And tomorrow I'm at Cage Warriors Live, so hopefully get some documentation of that. See Mr. Dan Hardy and his Mrs. Veronica Macedo, that is. UFC fighter as well. So it's going to be a good night for me. Get to see Morgan Charrier versus Paul Hughes for the interim belt, as Vucinic is out. No, you're not massive into Cage Warriors, but it's going to be a banger.
All right. Hey, Cage Warriors. I'm a big Paddy Pimblett fan, so now I'm all into Cage Warriors.
There you go. Check out his new Instagram post of Fat Pimblett. That's what he does.
I will.
He's so overweight.
Like in real life, he's like actually
a week after the fights, his face is out here and he's got a belly.
Do you think that's because he moved up in weight class and that's kind of messing with his
No,
stature a little
no,
bit?
that's
his
just what he
form?
does. That's just what he does every fight. And then when it comes to fight week, he gets shredded, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
So
He's thin as a rail too. Well, he's shredded, yeah, but he's more lean than anything. Like he must be cutting a lot of weight then.
yeah, exactly. He must, but he's also just eating very unhealthy. So when he does do it, it just drops off him, I'm sure. But tomorrow as well, hopefully I see some new people. I saw Nathaniel Wood and Jack Shaw are there at the moment. So Brad Pickett's there. So yeah, all the UK scene should be good.
Very
Cool,
good,
dude.
very good.
Again, appreciate it, man. Nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just anytime, shoot me a message and I'll try to work it into my schedule.
Awesome, dude. All right. See you later then.
All right, man. Take it easy.